Here's that little saw you saw in the previous video. It's a null power 38cc saw. It's one of these. This is a saw. You can buy them. Used to be able to buy them here and there. Not so much anymore. This is a copy of a zenoah g3800. But most of your coins now you see in the G45, 52, 58 and 62cc. If the latter having both different size strokes, so be careful on that when you're going to play with one. The G38 is a bit of an odd one. It doesn't use the same jugs or anything. It's a completely different base to the other one, different muffler, different everything, and the parts are hard to come by. So if you're looking at buying a little saw to do up, keep away from them. The parts are notoriously hard to get for these. Especially the oiler. I had to jerry-rig a piece of rubber to go in there. So lucky my uncle had a piece of rubber with a hose fitting on the end of it, which you cannot buy the hose fitting for these. They're non-existent unless you go for a supplier somewhere. Maybe at a barber, but you know, you can't really find them anywhere. It's just the parts of these are notoriously hard. But the 45cc, you need over reach. Came with an Olga OE chain, so this would be just a Chinese chain, Chinese bar. Nothing overly critical. I give it, it's actually got a nice handle on it. So I've actually bent handles like this before. On this it seems to be sturdier. There one's the standard. Standard air filter, which I had to make a gasket for because even missing this gasket. Like this saw's only had about 10 minutes of use. It was given to me by a bloke at work, and he cut down his apricot tree with it. That's as far as it ever went. It sat in the shed for this was made in like 2012, I think it was, and or even earlier, and it just sat in the shed. I had to put new fuel lines in it. All the fuel lines were dead in it, so that was fun. This has some of the worst flashing on any parts, any mould parts and stuff I've ever seen. I actually work in dye. We make dyes for navigational lights and such, and so I'm pretty good doing all the dye work, like sanding and polishing, typical machining, stuff like that. And every time you come across these things, they're the ejector pins. They're big pins that push the dye out. When they've got a lot of flashing behind them, that means the dye is absolutely stuffed. That hole is bigger than the pin. That would, in my industry, that would be that dye would be going to the bin. But Chinese just keep punching them out. Now, nothing on this ever wants to sit square. I get the tank doesn't leak, but she hemorrhages oil. But that might just be because I had the jerry rig that fitted. So I'm not even going to keep this saw. I'm going to give it to an uncle. See if I can trade him for his 2150 pawn. Because yeah, it's a saw. It works, but these have nowhere near the power of the pawns in the same category. But no, I'll show you some pictures of what I had to do to it to get where I had to get it. One thing I do like is only a single. There's no. The impulse is right for cylinder on this, so you could put a better carb on it if you wanted to. But no, like anything. But end of the day, you're just polishing the turd, mate. She's always going to be a turd. You know, I had to cut this out. This was all the way up to here, so this wasn't even getting in the air. This thing was just cooking itself. We will sort the video in that ghost gum because I did the skippery channel on this, and you'll be able to see what it'll be like cutting. You know, don't get me wrong, it's a nice light saw if you're only pruning small stuff. You know, say a tree came down, just typical garden work, anything that land, it'll just cut. Got no problem. But I wouldn't rely on if you're going up the bush. You could rely on the bush if you want. You're only just creating some tracks, a little bit of firewood when you're camping. But from a swordbearer's point of view, anybody's got access to better swords, you really won't be using these 38s. The 45 one I had, there'll be some previous videos. You probably I did about a year or so ago. That they pull like a train, but they've got bigger strokes. They're like I think a 42. I can't remember. They've got a longer stroke than these ever do. These are pretty short strokes. They're only like that, so they're only tiny. But yeah, if you're going to build one, go for the 45cc and up. That's the better. It's a better gear. I love how I give it the brakes. Chain brakes are awfully responsive, and it works right for that. I'm going to try and get in a fit on the thing. It's a pain in the rear, but the uncle is probably going to end up taking it. Doesn't really care over it too much. He'll run it till it blows. Then I say to him, keep the bar and chain, get less. But no, I'll show you the pictures of the. I'll cut them into this as I'm doing this, and you'll see the all the port work I had to do on it. Because actually, its factory porting wasn't too bad, but I made it better because I know these saws. So if you come across one of these for $10, it's worth a giggle, it's worth a play. But just leave the 38s alone and go to the 45s. That's my better gear. The 45s rev the best. And the 52s rev a bit hard, cut a bit harder, but not rev as much. The 58s, they cut a lot harder. So I'm going to go for them. Here's the muffler when I opened it. You can see the baffle in the middle and the external baffle internally. And this is when I finished cutting it, and I bent the front out a bit just to give it more of a poke. This is the angle of the transport as the transfers as they come in. What I did was put it on a slight angle, as you can see in this photo. It just helps it flow up and around. I've done this a few times. It seems to help. It just stops the air hitting it flat. You don't need much to fix it. Here's the intake, which is just cleaned up. As you can see in this video, it's just a bit cleaner in this picture. There's the exhaust when I first got it. And just opened up and cleaned it up. It had a pretty big squish ring, but pretty bad casting. Alright, here's the little Chinese one. See how this goes, because it's actually its first cut since I've owned it. So, let's see if she doesn't roll over and fart and it's smoke out. as good as a pawn. Yeah, even though they've been the same CCs, these just don't cut like a pawn. But it could be the organ chaining it down, but I don't reckon they're not as good a saw as the 45cc and up clones or the zenoahs. They're kind of crap. You know, that's with the chain. You know, it cuts a lot. I've noticed it cuts a lot better cutting the bigger stuff. I've cut some stuff which is already about this wide. They test the chain out on the pawn and slice it like butter. This is just a little bit fucking. It's just a little bit crap. But I cut some harder stuff, but it seems to work alright. You know, because 3/8 skip chain is too hard to get a hold of now. Low profile that is. Even at the moment here in Australia, it's hard to get the actual 3/8 full size skip chain. You have to try and order it and hope you can get it in. But you know, like anything, any questions, just post a comment down the bottom. Happy to answer them.